The Chuckwagon answered all the problems of a cattle drive. It was built by a man named Charles Goodnight in 1800. The Chuckwagon was the nerve center or headquarters of any ranch crew on the range. The chuck box was built to fit into the tail end of a wagon bed. Its hinged lid was designed to drop down and stand level with the aid of a slanting pole. This served as a work surface. A water barrel was placed on one side, and on the other was a toolbox to carry such items as branding irons, shovels, picks, axes, and saws. A well-supplied wagon contained an amazing assortment of goods and supplies needed for a long trail drive. In addition to carrying food and cooking utensils, it also carried the cowboys' bedrolls and personal effects as well. Most trucks carried standard foods such as onions and bacon, potatoes, canned tomatoes, flour, sugar, dried fruit, coffee, beans, chewing tobacco, needles and thread, molasses, and whiskey. The wagon bed itself held the main food items, and the top food staple was beef. During hot weather, a wet tarp was often wrapped around the fresh beef to slow down the spoiling process. If badly spoiled, it was doctored up with chilies, spices, and tomatoes and became Texas chili. Chow from the Chuckwagon varied from region to region and from season to season, but three cowboy dishes that rarely ever changed were beef, beans, and bread, or biscuits. About a 30-day supply could be carried in the wagon, and it was guarded by the cowboys as if it contained gold. The well-equipped wagon always carried a very large coffee pot, various sized kettles, and several Dutch ovens. The Dutch oven was the main cooking utensil. You could fry, bake, boil, broil, and store items in it. The lid could be turned to make a pancake or fry eggs if they were available, but normally it was used to hold the coals on the lid. All good Dutch ovens have 3 legs. This is to raise the oven up so the coals can be put underneath. The Dutch oven was not invented by the Dutch, but by the English. But so many peddlers brought them to America in the 1600s for trade, they became known as Dutch ovens.
Hold your horses, it's almost ready.
The cook had many duties besides cooking. He was the barber, the doctor, and also buried the dead.
I have to do everything around here. Like you can hear me.
That's why there was always a shovel on the wagon. His last duty of the day was to point the wagon tongue towards the North Star in order to provide the trail boss with an accurate compass at daybreak. The cook worked long and hard, but he and his wagon provided a much-needed home for the cowboys. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for part 3 of The American Cowboy coming up soon, where you can learn about the cowboys' clothing and the equipment they used. Presented by Old Tucson, where the spirit of the Old West comes alive.